这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的英语能力在美国日常生活是完全够用的。像学母语一样学英语，我们开始吧。
Truman Burbank woke up like he did every morning, to the sound of cheerful birds and a ray of sunshine peeking perfectly through his window. He lived in Sea Haven, a town where the sun always seemed to shine just right, and flowers bloomed in the brightest colors. Stepping out of his neat little house with its white picket fence, Truman would greet his smiling neighbor, who always waved at the exact same moment each day. He was a friendly man with a good job selling insurance and a wife, Merrill, who always had a bright, "Good morning, dear," ready for him. On the surface, Truman's life was as perfect as a picture postcard, but sometimes Truman felt a little strange, like when he was a kid, a big light once fell out of the sky. Nobody else seemed to think it was that weird. They just said, "Oh, an old airplane part," and moved on. Truman wasn't so sure. Truman had a big dream. He wanted to go to Fiji, an island far away. He had a picture of a beautiful girl he met in college, Lauren. She had told him something important, something that made him wonder. She had tried to tell him that his world wasn't what it seemed. But then her father suddenly appeared and took her away, saying they were moving to Fiji. Truman never forgot her. He kept pieces of magazines to try and make a picture of her face. This dream of Fiji and Lauren was like a little seed of adventure in his heart. As Truman got older, more strange things happened. One day, his car radio started talking about him, like it was describing where he was driving. He thought, "That's odd." Another time, it started raining, but only on him. He walked a few steps, and the rain moved with him. He looked up, and it was like the rain was coming from just one spot above his head. These things made Truman feel a bit confused and worried. He started to feel like maybe things weren't as they seemed. He remembered his dad. When Truman was a little boy, his dad drowned in a storm while they were on a boat. Truman was very scared of water after that. This fear always stopped him from trying to leave Sea Haven, which was an island. Whenever he thought about leaving, something would stop him. The bus would break down. The boat tickets would be sold out for weeks. There was always a reason he couldn't go. One day, Truman saw a man who looked exactly like his dad, the one who was supposed to be gone. This really shocked him. His mom and his best friend, Marlon, tried to tell him he was just imagining things, or that the man just looked like his dad. But Truman knew. He started to really watch everything around him. He noticed people doing the same things every day, like they were on a loop. He started to think, is this real? Are these people real? Truman decided he had to leave. He had to find Lauren in Fiji. He tried to drive away with Merrill, but there was a sudden forest fire and then a problem at the nuclear plant. It was always something. He felt trapped, like everyone was in on a secret except him. He felt scared but also very determined. Finally, Truman decided to face his biggest fear. He got into a small sailboat in the middle of the night and started sailing. A huge storm suddenly appeared, bigger than any storm he had ever seen. The waves were giant, and the wind was howling. Someone, a voice from the sky, was trying to make him turn back. The voice said, "Truman, you can't survive. Turn back." But Truman shouted, "You'll have to kill me." He was so brave. He held onto the boat and kept going. And then, crunch! His boat hit something hard. He looked up. It wasn't the sky. It was a giant blue wall, painted to look like the sky. He touched it. It was real. He found a staircase leading up to a door that said, "Exit." The voice from the sky spoke again. It was a man named Christoph. Christoph told Truman that his whole life had been a show. Everyone he knew, his wife, his friend, his parents, they were all actors. Sea Haven was a giant TV studio. Millions of people all over the world had been watching Truman since he was born. Christoph said he gave Truman a good, safe life. He asked Truman to stay. He said the world outside was not as nice. Truman stood there, at the door. He thought about everything. His whole life had been a lie, but also, it was the only life he knew. He felt sad, maybe a little angry, but also, he felt a strong pull towards that door. What was out there? It was unknown, but it was real. Truman turned to where he thought the camera was. He smiled his friendly smile and said, "In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." Then he took a bow and stepped through the door into the darkness, into the real world.
你太棒了，你学完了全部内容，你离英语自由又近了一步，下个视频见。